Hey guys, Deathletter Magic here, and I was going to release the latest, much-awaited makeup tutorial, but unfortunately Wizards released more spoilers today. So I'm gonna have to cover those, and you're gonna have to go to F&M without those absolutely fierce-looking eyeshadow patterns. I literally don't even know what anything's called in the makeup world. But what I do know the name of is Reeve's Soul. It's a 2-cost black sorcery. Destroy target creature with power 3 or less. Yay! I love unreliable spells. Unplayable trash. Next. Into the story. It's a 7-cost blue instant, and that's female Jace climbing into a book. This spell does cost 3 less to cast, though, if an opponent has 7 or more cards in their graveyard. So, in other words, Threshold, that actually is a mechanic that exists. Well, Threshold refers to your graveyard, but still, it's the same mechanic. Anyway, draw 4 cards. So, drawing 4 for 7 mana is not an insane ratio, it's not an unheard of card, but I will say that drawing 4 for 4 is almost unprecedented in the game. I mean, it happens occasionally, but that's, let's just say 1 to 1 is not the normal ratio. You wouldn't just find an uncommon vanilla who cares instant that says pay 2 blue, draw 2 cards. That is not something that happens. So while I do love cards that get more powerful as the game goes on so that you can actually win the game at some point, so, you know, cards like Overload, where you could pay a little bit more and get bigger bang for your buck. But you can only do it later in the game when you have more mana available, at which point somebody really ought to win the game eventually. However, in the context of Standard right now, this would be solely used mid to late game to just refuel your stupid 3-color, probably black, white, blue, ridiculous shutdown lockout prison deck. Your stupid Teferi Nexus, whatever. I mean, of course your opponent's going to have more than 7 cards in the graveyard. You probably countered 7 of them. So this is just, oh, I'm playing control and now I can reload 4 cards. I hate everything about this spell and it never should have been printed. Next up, we've got Fervent Champion. It's a 1-cost Human Knight rare card, 1/1 with first strike and haste. And whenever Fervent Champion attacks, another target attacking knight you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And then equip abilities you activate that target Fervent Champion cost 3 less to activate. Now that is a very good ability when you mix it with first strike, but I feel like the typical Knight's equipment mix deck will already have so many Knight-specific equips that this won't really matter. But I mean, a 1-cost Knight, I mean, a lot of them cost more than this. You might throw this in anyway and just hope something happens. Next up, we've got Bog Naughty, which sounds like a British bar or something. Oh, pardon me, tavern. And you may have noticed this very subtle little interesting thing about the name, where naughty is actually an adjective and not a noun. So that's a thing they made up. Anyway, it's a 3/3 for 5 mana, double black flying, and if you pay 3, sacrifice a food, target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. So basically it's gonna poison the food and shove it down your throat. Using food as removal, I mean, it's neat. The problem is this is a 3/3 for 5, and there are way better creatures for 5. Also, food seems to be a green mechanic, so I mean, green-black, and then fairies in those colors, I don't know, I think they kinda went a little off the rails with this one. Next up, we've got, okay, seriously, Wizards, is it a very large fox or is it a very small person? I have to know. This is like the 30th card to have it. I have to know if it's a giant fox or a tiny person. Why do I need to know so bad? Why is this bothering me so much? I don't know, but I need to know, damn it. Anyway, this is an elf knight, not a fairy, which is why I'm even more confused. And it's a 3/1 for 2, which is always good. Elf knight, I mean, okay, knights aren't remotely green, but okay. Sacrifice a food, target creature blocks Mirrorleaf Rider this turn of Fable. Okay, that's neat. I mean, they're getting really creative with food all of a sudden. But, you know, so does Guy Fieri, and everybody hates him. But so far, I like the creative food card. Speaking of that, Insatiable Appetite. So this is a 2-cost green instant common. You may sacrifice a food. If you do, target creature gets +5/+5 until end of turn. Otherwise, that creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. So it doesn't do nothing without food, but this is quite possibly the most powerful boost spell ever printed in the color green. Now, Might of the Masses is a more powerful card, but it's situational. But then again, technically so is this, but Might of the Masses is 1 mana. Might of the Masses is +1/+1 for each creature you control, by the way. You can swing and then they block 7 and let 1 through, and you +8/+8 the one they let through. I mean, that card is crazy. So if this is mixed with anything other than mono green, it is going to be devastating if they can get enough food out. But would you do like a creature heavy, like first strike, double strike, flying, like whatever, counter dump proliferate deck, and then add all these food cards just to run this one card? My guess is probably not. So as long as this is only limited to just food decks, I don't think we'll have a big problem with this card. Otherwise, +5/+5 for 2 is a big problem. Next up, Epic Downfall, which has to be just the greatest card name since somebody came up with the name Megamorph. Boy, whoever came up with the name Megamorph must just be so uncreative and out of touch with reality. I mean, just how stupid would somebody have to be to come up with the name Megamorph? I know exactly which staff member did it, and I know exactly what they do to people who make fun of the name. And all I gotta say to that person is, F you, you racist, sexist, hateful piece of human garbage. You fucking SJW tyrant, I hope you get fired. Then maybe you can flip over your pink slip and Megamorph that, you fucking asshole. But anyway, what this ass quality shot of a card is a 2-cost black sorcery, and you exile target creature with converted mana cost 3 or greater. Now, I don't like unreliable spells, but 3 or greater is infinitely more useful than 3 or lower. I think this is going to be insanely heavily played. I mean, most decks running black, if it's smaller than a mana cost of 3, you probably aren't that worried about it. I mean, how much damage could it really do? There are exceptions like Steel Leaf Champion, but it isn't the norm for something that costs 3 or less to be just destroying the whole game, ruining everything, shutting down your strategy, and killing your life total. Although, anybody remember Aerial Responder? Resplendent Angel, anybody? But still, like I said, those are exceptions. So the fact that this costs 2, I mean, yeah, it's limited by sorcery speed, but this is just good. Next up, Cauldron Familiar. Yeah, I don't think that witches have pet panthers. I mean, the head looks like a cat, but the body looks like a giant frickin' panther. Kinda inconsistent. Anyway, it's a 1/1 for 1, which also illustrates that it probably shouldn't be a panther. And it's cat type, of course, duh. And when it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Fantastic. And then if you sacrifice a food, return Cauldron Familiar from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that's annoying, but honestly, looking at every other food card in the entire game, totally not worth wasting a food on. And a 1-and-done effect and then just a 1/1 vanilla after that on an uncommon tribal, not very good. I hate to, review poorly a cat card, but, well, it's not very good. Next up, it's Opportunistic Dragon. If you pronounce it Dragon, then you need to go back to Hogwarts, you frickin' Brit. Dragon, you guys, is the proper way to pronounce it. So anyway, Opportunistic Dragon has a 4/3 for 4 double red flying, and when it enters battlefield, choose target human or artifact an opponent controls for as long as Opportunistic Dragon remains on the battlefield. Gain control of that permanent. It loses all abilities and it can't attack or block. Okay, this was almost a blue card, and I almost was going to start going off on a tirade about how this is basically just hostage taker, but you're basically turning it into a useless lawn ornament, which, is also really honestly blue, but I mean, pin down is blue, transmogrifying is blue, tapping something and not letting it attack you is blue. Guys, this is just a Sphinx. I mean, what the hell? What is this? But at least you can't use it, because that would be ridiculous. So, it's just a temporarily removal card, which is a white effect. All the white exilers where then if they blow up the white card, then they get their thing back. This is the most not red card I've ever seen. I mean, yeah, active treason, but this is so far away from that. Come on. I will say you could use it for like bone splinters to sacrifice any creature you control, because you do technically control it, even though it can't really do anything. You could, I don't know, tap it for Convoke. I mean, there's some stuff you could do with it outside of combat. You could just use it for a creature count in a flood deck, although it probably wouldn't be red. I mean, the fact that it has to be human or an artifact, though, is weirdly narrow. I mean, it's just odd. Next up, we've got Gadwick the Wizened, which, I've heard the name Chadwick, which is actually the full form of the name Chad. But Gadwick, that's a new one. And apparently he became more wise, which is evidenced by the fact that he changed to triple blue. Hell yeah. Welcome to the mono blue crew, brother. Best color in the game. So yeah, this is a triple blue plus X, legendary creature human wizard, and when he enters battlefield, draw X cards. Whenever you cast a blue spell, tap target non-land permanent and opponent controls. Oh, we're bringing it back, guys. We're bringing it back. Gravity Bomb. Recurring tap ability, guys. Watch out. Gravity Bomb and Mr. Nibbles were the two most powerful, most unstoppable, meta-crushing F&M winning decks I have ever made in the entire history of me playing Magic. Nothing even comes close to it, even my mono white deck from about a year ago. So now all I need to rebuild the Gravity Bomb mechanic deck is pretty much 10 more of this. Like 9 or 10 more tap abilities, some of them being multi-target, and we're good to go. So I love this. It's not overpowered, it's not unstoppable, it doesn't have evasion, but it's not inappropriately weak. The draw ability is within the normal ratio of about 1.5 mana per card, which is usually the baseline average. And the triple blue tends to keep him out of a blue-white-black deck, which has been complete and utter AIDS for the last 5 years. And I don't think Wizards will ever get a clue and just say there's a limit of 2 colors in standard, period, which would fix the problem permanently. So all you need to do is throw him into your mono blue deck, tap everything repeatedly to get them out of the way for your pathetically underpowered creatures that are never going to hit them for 20 damage. I love mono blue. Oh, and if anybody puts this in a mill deck, I will personally come to your house and slap you. Next up, Integridade, or something. It's Portuguese, who the hell knows? So obviously that spell title translates in English to righteousness. And by the way, if that name sounds familiar, yeah, it was printed in alpha. Like, it was printed in everything. It was alpha, beta, unlimited, revised, 4th edition, 5th edition, 9th edition, 10th edition, as well as M10. So yeah, for 1 mana in white as an instant, target blocking creature gets +7/+7 until end of turn. So it is going to kill what it blocked, and it is not going to die. The end. As much as I love this card and how hilarious of an ambush it is, it just doesn't help you win the game. God's Willing does something somewhat similar, and there are better cards that cost 2. It doesn't grant lifelink, you can't use it offensively. I mean, it's hilarious, but you have to run something better. I just love this card though. It's just not a good choice. And it pains me to say it because I love a good combat ambush as much as the next guy. Actually, way more than the next guy. In fact, the next guy is probably pissed about how many of these I usually play. Next up, they're reprinting Opt because we just needed that cancer in standard again. All it does is enable degenerate combos and degenerate, like, infinite control decks. I have never seen this outside of it. Oh, I guess is it, but would you really call is it a healthy fun deck? I mean, it's just Storm, and Storm is a 10 on the Storm scale, and what the Storm scale is named after. I'm not going to call that a friendly or good positive deck. So this goes in AIDS, Cancer, or Ebola. Those are your 3 deck choices. Wow, thanks Wizards for reprinting this bullshit. There's a reason Ponder and Brainstorm are like banned and restricted in fucking everything. Stop printing Anticipate, stop printing Opt. Next up, Inquisitive Puppet. Oh good, it's Pinocchio. It's a 0/2 for 1, and if you pay enough mana, he becomes a real boy. I'm sure that's what it says. And then since this is like the medieval times, he probably catches Black Plague and dies and probably wishes he would have stayed as a indestructible wooden puppet. So, okay, you know how most fairy tales are like super dark when you read the original ones from the Grimm, I don't know, brothers or whatever, whoever wrote them? I don't remember what the differences with Pinocchio are, but I think they're like super dark. Like, I think I'm not even going dark enough compared to what this one really is. But anyway, what does this actually do? So, when Inquisitive Puppet enters the battlefield, scry 1. Okay, that's neat. And exile Inquisitive Puppet and create a 1/1. Oh, here we go, of course. White human creature token. This card is just stupid. I mean, in an all-humans deck, it's kind of cool. The consistency, the temporary 0/2 to block stupid gimmicky 1/1s. I don't know. It's like borderline useful. And I guess, like, if they try to blow him up, you could exile him in response and kind of evade it. I don't know. This is just kind of weak. It's still, like, at the end of the day, 1 cost. So you either end up with a 1/1 on tribal or a 0/2 blocker and get a free scry. It's not that bad, I guess. Next up, Spinning Wheel. Hey, that's a Rumpelstiltskin reference. It's a 3-cost artifact, and you can tap it, add 1 mana of any color, and you can do that right when it comes in, by the way, so it kind of costs 2. And then if you pay 5 and tap it, tap target creature, which somehow has nothing to do with Rumpelstiltskin or Spinning Gold or Midnight or Time Counters or really anything. I mean, everybody knows, I legit don't remember who's in the story, but some lady fooled Rumpelstiltskin by tapping him repeatedly prior to combat. I do believe that's how the original story went. Next up, we've got 7 dwarves, which strangely enough only cost 2 mana, but I guess it's because they're small. You get a little discount on them, I guess. And 7 dwarves gets +1/+1 for each other creature named 7 dwarves you control. But Des, you can only have 4 in your deck. Wrong! A deck can have up to 7 cards named 7 dwarves. I've had trouble getting what they call an 8 and 8 combo to go off in a deck. I don't think you're gonna get a 7 internal combo to work. Unless you have a way to fetch them or just absolutely mow through your deck like 5 cards at a time. It's funny though. I honestly think that bottom ability is a misnomer because you can already in draft, and I guess it's sealed, but let's be honest, in draft, and this is a common, you can put, or you can draft as many as you want, and then you can put as many as you draft into your deck. So if you were to draft 12 of these, you are going to absolutely knock your opponent on their ass. Now that said, okay, let's say you draft 10 of them. You should mathematically start with approximately 2, and then by the time you draw your first 3 cards, you should have 4 of them. Which isn't that great. It's not unstoppable, but then if you were to drop in the 5th or 6th one, the game's basically over. So remember that Goblin Gathering card or whatever, where you get to summon, like, was it 1 or 2, I think 2 goblins plus 1 for every Goblin Gathering in your graveyard? Yeah, I managed to turn 2, 3, 4, and then double 5 somebody with that. I think I had like 20 goblins. He just forfeited. Like it was ridiculous. So yeah, doing stupid gimmicky stuff works if it's in the common slot. Now that said, this is a 269 card set, so good luck. But I mean, even if you can't get it going, it's still a 2/2 for 2, which is not the end of the world. Next up, we've got the infamous artwork Ginger Brute. So this is a 1/1 for 1 artifact creature food golem. I guess that means it's food. I think it said sacrifice a food on every other card, not sacrifice a food token. So that's interesting. And it has haste, because of course. And if you pay 1, Ginger Brute can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. Oh, that's just annoying. And if you pay 2 and tap it, sacrifice Ginger Brute, you gain 3 life. Oh, so in other words, food ability. So this is weaponized attack food. All right. I will say, though, there's other cards that generate food as like an effect or whatever, a trigger. This is just direct cast food. So this actually might be really important to a food synergy deck, the fact that you can just have a card that is food. That said, the Hansel and Gretel card from before, you could just adventure it, boom, cast it, food. So it's basically a food summoning card. So this isn't that different. Next up is True Love's Kiss. We saw this artwork before when it was spoiled by who knows who or why. It's a 4-cost double white instant and exile target artifact or enchantment, then draw a card. What does that have to do with True Love's Kiss either, what is it, waking up somebody from magical sleep, I think turning somebody from a statue back into a person, although that might be Greek mythology, or if you really stretch it, just breaking any magic. So apparently True Love's Kiss causes you to be removed from existence. Fantastic. Next up, Beloved Princess. It's a 1-cost 1/1 lifelink human noble, and Beloved Princess can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. I still don't think that makes it a good card, but if you were to strap like enormous levels of equipment to her, she would be virtually unstoppable. I mean, they would basically just be able to chump block you, and that's it. Next up, Trapped in the Tower, of course a Rapunzel reference, and it's a 2-cost enchantment aura, enchant creature without flying. Enchanted creature can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. Nice! This is a wonderful pin down. We needed a little bit more of these in blue and in white. I think we picked one up in blue. Well, it turns into a 1/1 frog, close enough. And now we just picked one up in white, so this is basically just passivism. The problem is, I will say that with spells like this, I tend to pin down flyers because they keep hitting me, because a lot of my decks don't run flyers, so, I mean, that kind of sucks, but whatever, it costs 2, hey. Oh, and by the way, the flavor text is the best. At least up here, I have some peace and quiet. Oh, preach it, sister, I have worked customer service, okay? All y'all human race collectively can kiss my ass, I don't want to talk to any of you. I hope a meteorite hits Earth and ends it. Humankind doesn't deserve it after me working customer service. So next up, we've got Harmonious Archon, a 6-cost white mythic card. That's right, one of the, 15, 16, whatever mythics revealed. And for that art, they just basically ripped off everything. We've got a Pegasus, we've got the Patronus from Harry Potter. I feel like there's like a Lion Witch in the Wardrobe reference here. I don't remember. They just took everything and glued it together. So this is a 4/5 flying Archon. Non-Archon creatures have base power and toughness 3/3. So in other words, everything. So in a Selesnya token flood deck, you drop this in and ta-da, triple power everything you own. Or against, well, almost anything else, you shrink everything down to a 3/3. And then when Harmonious Archon enters the battlefield, create 2, let's be honest, 3/3 white human creature tokens. I'm not even going to finish chewing my blueberry Cheerios to tell you that I love this card. The world has to know immediately. The flavor text is first among equals. What? So yeah, this card is the most baller shit ever, and I love it. It's a bit of a gamble. You might upgrade the army. I mean, if you would, just, I've got an idea, don't cast this. But I mean, 4 damage in the air for 6, not great, but this isn't legendary. You might be able to clone it, who knows. Like I said, if you're running Selesnya, you're just going to absolutely just run them over. I wouldn't really mix this with Divine whatever the hell deck, because 1, I think that card's cycling out, and 2, you downgrade your 4/4 angels. But if you just wanted to have 2 options... But yeah, I mean, I almost wish this was like a 5/4, so it could just hit really hard. The problem is with, a bunch of 3/3s hanging around, you're gonna still probably want to have significantly more or close to equal to the same number of creatures as your opponents. So we'll see what kind of weird synergy tricks you can do with this, because I think there's a little bit more to this than meets the eye. Like, there might be a -3/-3 sweeper in the game? I mean, spoiler alert, there is. Next up, Ayara, first of Loctwain. I don't know. So this is a who the hell knows out of who the hell knows, because somebody doesn't know how to take screenshots. I was going to blame the person who spoiled it, which is GLHF, because 1, I hate them already, and 2, why can't people just spoil the full card? How hard could it possibly be? But in their video, they clearly reveal that it's a 2/3. Like, who took this screenshot? So anyway, it's a triple black 2/3. It's an elf noble, legendary creature. And when Ayara, first of Wayne, probably I don't know, or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Classic ability. And then if you tap it, sacrifice another black creature, draw a card. This is just classic black. They made it so black they had to make it triple black. And yeah, I like it. She will be a priority target because of her powerful ongoing ability, while only being 3 cost. That's right about where you want to get people to waste their removal spells on, because the big fatties are 4s and 5s. In the average typical cliche deck. Next up, we finally got a card in German, which I'm still convinced is not a real language, it's just a prank they're all playing on us. Every German I've ever met speaks flawless English. Anyway, this is Von Fien Gestholen, I don't know. I may be half German, but I sure as hell don't know how to read or pronounce or anything to do with German language. I'm good at German cooking, that's about it. This is a hexerai, it's a sorcery. And it's a double blue X, and return target creature with converted mana cost X to its owner's hand, and then create X 1/1 blue fairy creature tokens with flying. Oh, that is hilarious. A scaling bounce spell that's on tribal without being overpowered. Oh my gosh. By the way, if you think I was kidding about suspecting that the German language is just fake and they're just pranking the rest of the world, look at what this card says. Blue fairy creature tokens is blau, that's clearly French. They snuck some French in there. Finwested Creaturen Spielsteine. What are those? Oh, and don't forget Mit Flugverheigenkeit. I mean, you know when like really shady archaeologists take bones from like 6 different dinosaurs and they glue them all together and they're like, oh, it's a freaking 6-winged Dragonosaurus Rex. And then everybody's like, bullshit, you just took a bunch of stuff and glued it together. That's the German language. And to an equal extent, nobody's buying it, okay? I'm calling your bluff, Germany. I mean, mana cost is just spelled Mana-Kosten. Mana-Kosten. If I was trying to make up a fake German word for mana cost, I wouldn't be that obviously fake about it if I was purposely trying to do it for a joke. Wir fahren besser mit der Nissenkart. Fort bevor ich einen weiteren Krieg anfange. Oh, scheiße, it's another German card. So here we've got Sir Eleonora die Schaffsigtigi. I don't know. Now, in my professional opinion of translating from fake languages that don't exist, I'm going to say this is Sir Eleonora, the Discerning. So this is a 5-cost legendary creature human knight, which is strangely not on knight color, but okay. Sir Eleonora's power is equal to the number of cards in your hand, and when Sir Eleonora enters the battlefield, draw a card, and then spells your opponents cast that target Sir Eleonora cost 2 more to cast, so partial hexproof. You guys know I'm a big fan of that. They need to make it a full-blown mechanic in a set. I mean, it would really make the game a lot better. Okay, so by the time you have 5 mana, you probably don't have a lot of cards in hand. She only draws 1, and then the whole point of Magic is to actually use the cards that are in your hand. But you wouldn't want to because you want her to hit reasonably hard. So this is just one giant contradiction. It's just going to make you confused about what would be the proper course of action to take, and I don't like that. And the only decks that this would do truly well in are ones that, like, have no max hand size and you've already drawn 15 and the game's already shut down, and, well, then why do you need her? I mean, seriously, Germans, you expect me to think that Zaubersprüche is some kind of real actual word for spells your opponents cast? I don't know. I have no idea what that's referring to. The best part is I'm pretty sure that the part that says costs 2 more is kosten 2 mehr. We're not buying it, Germans. We're not buying it. You made the language up just to prank us, and when you're all home alone, you think nobody's listening. Y'all speak English, okay? So anyway, our last spoiler of the day is Scorching Dragonfire. Oh, pardon me, I meant Dragonfire. It's Dragonfire, you guys, don't you know? I mean, you guys want to pronounce it correctly or not? I've been told by my cousin that those are all things that people don't say who are in not Wisconsin. Yeah, that's how that sentence went together in my head. So anyway, Scorching Dragonfire is a 2-cost red instant, and it deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Oh good. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. So it's unimproved and then re-improved Lightning Strike. Yay, just what we needed. Well, I'm sick of getting hit in the face by Lightning Strike, so I'll call this an improvement. And of course, the flavor text is, as the blaze raced towards her, Sir Emerald closed her eyes and pictured Castle Ardenvale, so her last thoughts would be of home. Bitch, tuck and roll, like, put in some effort. Evade that shit, bitch. You ever played D&D? You ever seen Harry Potter number 4, I think? It's the one with dragons. Come to think of it, like, at least 3 of them have dragons. I mean, why are you even fighting a dragon if you don't have a way to stop his fire and you have no dexterity whatsoever or protection from fire? I mean, if you ain't got the tools, you gotta sneak up on a brother and stab him in the heart while he's sleeping or something. Like, that's how we do it in the hood, okay? If y'all want to hire my crew to go kill a dragon in the hood, call 1-800-HOOD-DRAGON. We'll come out and take care of your dragon problem same day. Watch for the Seafoam Chrysler with the spinners. If anybody asks any questions about what happened to the dragon, accidents have been known to happen. Sometimes they slip and fall down 16 flights of stairs, you know what I mean? Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I regret to inform you that if you don't hit the subscribe button, you will immediately, upon navigating away from this video, get a call, and the person on the phone will tell you that you have 7 days to... it's been forever since I've seen that movie. Hold on, I gotta look it up. Okay, like, Super wasn't in the trailers, so you have, I don't know, it'll tell you have 7 days before you die unless you... duplicate the tape and send it to someone? Is that what it was? I feel like that was the sequel. Well, anyway, if you don't hit subscribe, something bad is going to happen to you. I'll make sure of it. I mean, I'm not saying it's a threat, but I mean, I'm just saying accidents happen. Just be safe and subscribe, damn it. I need the damn money. I got this horrible dragon problem and I gotta pay some people to take care of it. I'll see you guys next video.